Hello, Galactic Groovers. I'm Andrea Land, Grooving Goddess. I've had an audio podcast for quite a while now. Every week I put up a collective reading for what I call the Xanadu Collective. And my spread is called the Soul Action Plan. I pull 2 cards from 4 different decks for each of the aspects of self. Your inner child, your earth self or ego, the one that deals with the day-to-day earth things, the materiality of the human experience, then your highest good, and then, or your highest self rather, and then your galactic team, which could be aliens, angels, the all, multi-dimensional light beings, space cats, whatever floats your boat. So I've had a Patreon for a little while, and I've been using this channel to share videos that are for the Patreon only. I'll tell you real briefly about my Patreon. You can find that at patreon.com/groovinggoddess, and of course it's in the notes of the video here. And there's 3 tiers. $5 tier, you get the patron-only episode and the monthly collective reading. $10 tier, you get weekly grid work classes or workshops. I really feel like it's more of a collaboration with the wonderful people who have already joined. And then the VIP tier gets access to all that, plus they each get a personal reading every month. My readings range anywhere from $30 for a half an hour to $80 for an hour-ish. So that's a really good deal if you like my stuff and you listen to my podcast, and if you're interested in grid work. What is grid work, you ask? Well, I will have to do a short video trying to explain some of that. I have a lot of content already up on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Also at Grooving Goddess. I got really lucky with that name. There's about 50, I think, no more than that, because I do 33 episodes a season and I'm on season 3. So I guess I'm around 70, 80 episodes of the audio podcast on all platforms. A lot of those are weekly collective readings, which, while they are timeless, you probably don't feel like listening to a year's worth of them. But I have a lot of great interviews with all kinds of guests I've already had, and a lot more coming up. I am also in a podcast collaboration with Serafina Blackman of Serafina Tarot here on YouTube. And our podcast is called Meow Podcast, and that'll be in the show notes here as well. That one has its own YouTube channel. And then we also do an IG Live every Saturday morning called Coffee with Kittens. So go follow me everywhere. Keep track of my stuff, and if you're called to grid work and you want to learn more about space weather and multidimensional expansion and join a really fun group of people, check out the Patreon. So without further ado, let's get to cutting some cards. I'm not going to shuffle them all because it's late and my hands are tired of shuffling. I did the old toss and split, as you can see in the camera there. I will do this with a 2-cam layout at some point, but I have to do a little troubleshooting for that, and I didn't want to delay putting this out. I will put the audio up from this reading should you not have time to watch/listen. And I'm not going to hold up the cards because, as you'll see in a minute, there will be pictures on either side of my face. So that makes it easy for you to see them and for me to do the reading. So for the inner child, I'm using this adorable deck called the Cat Tarot. And it's rapidly becoming one of my favorite truly whimsical decks, because even, like, for instance, Death is a vacuum cleaner. So hilarious. And then, like, 8 of Swords is the cat on the on their back with all the empty toilet paper rolls around them because they've gotten in over their head a little bit. So what does our inner child need to know this week for the upcoming Soul Action Plan. I'll be sharing these weekly readings up on YouTube, and then I'm sure I will have other fun content going up there. I will start sharing some video from old podcast episodes from this year that I was holding on to for when I started the YouTube channel. So I'll be putting those up weekly, and I'm really excited to expand out in this way. So thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. All of those things help, and please go follow me everywhere. If you would like to book a personal reading, you can also do that at my link tree in the notes below. So let's see, Cat Tarot. What does our inner child have to say? All right. So we have a Page of Swords, and I will hold it up, why not? Because it doesn't matter that the writing is backwards. So we have the little Page of Swords. So he's feeling frisky. And then I think this is Six of Pentacles. Sometimes I have to look at the picture in the book because this is a new deck to me, and it doesn't really say, okay, cat treats are always this thing. So it could be Pentacles. And then we have Page of Swords. So what is up with our inner child? Maybe Three of Cups or Three of Wands. So I hope you've all been having a good week. It's been pretty bananas out here in the world, if I do say so myself. This energy this last week, the prevailing theme, before I even pull any cards, seems to be that we are both in a simultaneous process of expanding our consciousness, while at the same time having to make some pretty hard choices, deal with any leftover shadow work that we maybe haven't done, or leftover stuff we need to just kind of clear out of our karmic and energy fields, because we have to make space to fully embody our soul. When I say fully embody your soul, you're probably thinking, what do you mean? I'm here. People who are called to transcendence, expansion, alternative spirituality, whatever you want to call it. I like to consider it multidimensional expansion and connection to the all ultimately, which allows you access to the infinite and all the places to there and back. But the way you get there is by fully embodying all of your soul into your body. We have a tendency, as we start studying spiritual development and working on ourselves, to want to kind of stay up here in the ethers, and that's really great for a while, but at some point, if you want to go further and you want to expand out further, you have to go further inward. So that's kind of what the weather has been. So we have Six of Pentacles. Hopefully I'll remember that next time. Maybe all the pentacles are cat treats. You have an abundance. Don't forget that it's thanks to generosity and aid from others. So this is a reminder to have gratitude. That is one full belly you have there. If you've been blessed with more treats than others, perhaps it's time to share that which has been so freely given. Generosity begets generosity. So pay it forward. This is all about pay it forward. Your inner child is saying, look at this, we're so happy and we have all these treats and we have plenty to share, so let's do some sharing. I think there's a lot of us that are going to need to be doing that. You know, there are going to be sort of rotating experiences of hardship amongst people, whether it's from weather events or economic factors or supply chain disruptions or illness. There's a lot of things going on. And so if we can all be generous when we have enough, then we should all be able to take care of each other a lot easier. And then Page of Swords. I always just love this little guy. It's a good thing this camera isn't too detailed, because right now I am just sweating like crazy. I should try out the My Carpe that they sent me to do TikToks for. The Page of Swords is a reminder to stay on your toes. So stay alert. The page may be a bit jumpy, but it's hard to contain this level of energy. Who knows what's around the next corner? It could be a nice treat or a formidable foe. Either way, that cunning sense of curiosity is going to insist that you find out. So be open to the opportunities coming to you, but also, stay alert. You don't want to get taken by surprise in your playful, excited energy. If you're new to me, I just mopped off the perspiration. If you're new to me, you'll find that I just dive in and fly by the seat of my pants and then refine things as I go. That's what I did when I started reading cards online. I've been reading cards since I was a little kid. That's what I did when I started a podcast and the Patreon, and this is what I'm doing now. So thank you for your acceptance of my come as you are kind of personality, because the great part about that is that's all I want from you, is for you to just come as you are. And now I have Nirvana running through my head. So next, for our earth self or ego self, I'm using the Sacred Forest Oracle. I love this deck. It's really beautiful. It's kind of new to me. I invested in a whole bunch of decks in the spring. I knew it was going to be a busy, exciting summer, and there was going to be a lot of expansion, so I went for it. So there's been some interesting things this week that I've noticed. We had a lot of coronal mass ejections. I pay a lot of attention to the space weather. We've had Schumann spikes. We've had major earthquakes, and then with that earthquake, we had something called earthquake lights. If you scroll down a little bit or up, either way that goes, you'll see a couple of videos about that, and also a Chinese UFO cloud. And this wasn't the kind that, you see that are just a poof and it happens to look like a UFO, but this was light in the sky. Really crazy, bizarre. So for our ego's earth self, what is in the highest good of the collective for the coming week ahead? Dragonfly Spirit. I just said everyone's going through a lot of changes before I started pulling cards, but we have Dragonfly Spirit, and this is about change. And what a beautiful dragonfly. This is why I will put pictures of the cards in great detail on either side of my face. That way you can really see it and zoom in if you want to. And then we have Maple Spirit of Generosity. One of the reasons I love this spread and card reading that I created for collective readings and for personal readings, I have other formats, of course. This isn't the only thing I do. But every time I do this, all of the couplets match up. For me, this helps me believe in magic and feel like I'm getting good information from source and good intuition, and it seems to do the same for others. So I love that. We just got change along with change, and generosity along with generosity. So Maple Spirit, be open to receive the bounty of the universe. At the same time, be generous with others and with yourself. A warmth of spirit radiates from you. Share your heart and receive with an open heart, and success will bloom. It's really important right now that we work on experiencing those loving energy exchanges where I give to you because I want to give with you with love without expecting anything in return. And then you give to me or to someone else in the same manner, and we keep that energy flow going. And that's how we change our world from this capitalist structure where we put a monetary value on people, which therefore completely devalues 95% of the population. So generosity is really where it's at. What you give out comes back to you tenfold. That is something that I practice all the time in my mind. If I spend money on myself and I have even the slightest thought of, oh, maybe I shouldn't have gotten that for myself right now, I could have paid this other thing or fixed that repair or whatever it is that I'm thinking I should have, could have, would have spent it on, I remind myself that everything I give out comes back to me tenfold. So if I have a friend, for instance, who is reading cards to raise money for diapers and formula and stuff, and if I, donate a little money there, that keeps that flow of abundance coming. It really does work. I know it sounds oversimplified, but I swear to you it works. Even if all you can do is like $5 or $1 in one of those jars collecting money for muscular dystrophy or something, it makes a difference. Maples are thought to be a very old species of tree. They are known to withstand environmental changes and can survive and thrive in various climates. Some traditions believe that the maple lends strength and power to those around it. If you tap into the maple, you will find a sweet sap, which symbolically brings sweetness into your life. So I want to stress they are known to withstand environmental changes. We all know we're experiencing that right now and probably for at least the next 20 years. I'll get into that more. I will go over most of that in the Patreon. But in short, we all know that the sun is doing some crazy stuff and the weather has gotten extreme and there's a lot of things happening that we have no control over. But what we do have control over is our generosity and learning to cooperate with each other. And from that, we will gain strength, we will grow strength, and we will survive the changing seasons and the changing climates and all of the things that humanity is going through right now as we transition from a 3D reality to a fifth dimensional crystalline grid. So then Dragonfly Spirit is about change, which also has to do with that transition to the crystalline grid. Dragonfly Spirit, be willing to change your perspective, and good fortune will follow. Sometimes you need to back up to go forward. As people get older, they find it harder to change. So to activate youthfulness, be willing to make changes without hesitation. This is about listening to your heart the way you did. And even if you're only in your 20s, let's say, this applies to you too, because I have kids that are 17 and 19, and I know how much they have been through just with the world in their lives, let alone, whatever stuff happened in our family or their personal challenges, and to some degree they're already jaded. So try to find within you that ability to have a youthful, open heart and embrace changes that come at you, because we are going to be dealing with so much change. Life has always been about change, and it always will be, but the accelerated pace at which things are going to be changing means that you will be much more comfortable while you're doing it if you can adapt. And I think part of the reason the dragonfly is on this card is because they're kind of like a insect version of a helicopter, like a hummingbird is, where they can go all directions and make sharp turns and They're pretty rad. We haven't had a lot this year because of the drought, but one of my favorite things to do, especially in the late summer, early fall, is watch them patrol their territory, because they will fly in a pattern like a big square or diamond over the same area for hours. And usually there's two of them. I'm not sure if they're one of those species that, pairs up for life or anything, but it seems like there's usually a couple of them. All right, so for our highest self, this time, like I said, I like to change up the decks. I'm using the Starseed Oracle. And I don't know why, but I'm being prompted to explain what a starseed is. Because who knows? Maybe you've never watched a card reading ever. Maybe you don't know what the heck I mean by ascension or expansion. Maybe you don't know what I mean by dimensions. So maybe you don't know what a starseed is. A starseed is someone who came and incarnated on Earth from other places to learn and have a human experience, and to participate sometimes in the expansion and ascension of humanity, as well as the ascension of Earth herself, because Earth has her own consciousness. Celestial bodies, the planets, the sun, the asteroids, they all have consciousness. So let's see what the Starseed Oracle has from our highest self this week. If I get the same card I keep getting for everybody all week, I'm going to lose my mind. Oh, cool. Not that one. Ooh, that's not a good look from a reader. I apologize to go, ooh. But it kind of goes along with the whole change and embracing things and having strength right now. So we got the Void, which is about stopping, embracing winter, great cosmic womb, WOMB, not wound. A lot of people fear the Void because sometimes the Void will happen either when you're in a state of trying to make decisions and big changes or expand, or it can happen after what a lot of people will call tower moments, or which is great upheaval in your life. Like you lose your job, you have to move, and you break up, like all in the same month. Really major stuff coming at you. And a lot of times what will happen after that is people, especially those who are empathic or intuitive, they'll feel sort of cut off from their gifts and cut off from guidance and cut off from everything. And that is not meant to be like, it's not that you're not doing anything right or you're failing or you've lost your intuition or your ability to connect or anything. It's more that you are being insulated. Whoops. You are being insulated in this womb, this cosmic womb of the universe, so that you can catch up with the growth process you just went through, almost like a cocoon, and then emerge the new version of yourself. And I just dropped, nope, I don't need that one. Okay, it's one you already saw. And then and then lastly, we have Earth School. I love this. They're flying down, and that's really the main reason and purpose for starseeds to come here most of the time is Earth School. Life lessons, soul growth, study, higher learning. We all have different contracts with the universe and with other souls and other beings and consciousnesses in the universe, and that has much more to do with how our life goes than anything that might happen on Earth, ironically. We set those things up before we come, and that doesn't mean that anything that's awful or traumatic, was okay or had to happen to you or was meant to happen to you or is your fault somehow. It just means that in that circumstance, you agreed to be in the situation. And I think most of the time, at least this is my gut feeling, having been abused myself in lots of ways, I feel like oftentimes we take on that to help heal it for the collective of humanity. And because the other person on the other side, the aggressor, the abuser, they are trying to learn a lesson. And a lot of times it's kind of like a test. And when they abuse you, they didn't pass it. You know what I mean? And likewise, on the other side, it can be a test for your soul growth to stand up for yourself and to get away and to be able to learn enough forgiveness for them, not to excuse what they did, not to make it okay, but so that you aren't carrying the burden of what they did. So I hope that helps explain that a little. Pulling this card can also mean that you're being called to embark on a new area of study or growth. This could be through structured learning, such as university, school, or a training course. If you're having difficulties in relationship, you're being reminded that these opportunities for soul growth, after all, relationships are known as the number one way that we grow as souls while we're here on earth. Kind of funny that I went down that whole relationship road because nothing on this card said anything about relationships. So our highest self really wants us to remember why we're here and be patient as we go in and out of spending time in the cocoon or the cosmic womb, in the safety where we can finish our growth process. And sometimes the void is, crying in the bathtub, and sometimes the void is like just not even thinking about any deep thoughts or doing anything. It's, well, I think I'll organize my closet today and listen to some music because I don't want to think about anything. The most important thing when you're in the void is just to practice self-care and patience. Just be patient with yourself and patient with the universe. My podcast partner for Meowpod, she said just this last week that we are entering a period, and I totally agree with her, where there's kind of two lanes that you can go in right now. You can go in the getting magnetized and sucked into more chaos, or you can go in the I'm going to go with the flow of forward momentum and not resist that change so that I don't get sucked into the chaos. And that doesn't mean ignoring what's around you. It's just a matter of prioritizing what you're focusing on. So the last deck I'm going to use for the week is the Dragon Oracle. And this represents your galactic team, your cosmic council, your guides and gurus, although guru is the wrong word, but I don't like to use the M word anymore either for obvious reasons. So I'm developing a whole new language for all of this. But to me, it is the all. It is the infinite. And the infinite can be alien beings that I have known in other incarnations that are part of my team helping me. Could be angels, could be dragons, could be earth ancestors that have crossed over, because a lot of the people that we come into earth experiences with are part of our soul family, and these are people that we incarnate with or work with over and over on these Starseed missions. So what dragons does our galactic team think will be most beneficial during this time of change and incubation? This is the second time I have pulled this today. Magenta Dragon. So we're entering another period of accelerated ascension, expansion. Enables you to bring forward your soul wisdom, awaken your soul memories, and higher spiritual understanding. Prepare for accelerated ascension. So what I was talking about clearing out the cobwebs. There may be old patterns or old relationships or old situations or old habits even that you thought you were well done with, and they might pop up. And this doesn't mean that you haven't done the work on this. It just means that it's coming up for review, and maybe there were just some dust bunnies of that, whatever it is, left in the corner of the inner sanctum of your being, this human vessel that we have, that you just need to clear out so that you can make room to embody your whole soul. So we also have Thor's red, black, and gold dragon. Protects you in times of change, a time of rapid transition and transformation. Relax, you are safe. So this goes along with what I said about being able to go with the flow, being able to get in the flow and not fight the current, and trust that you are being protected. Protection and change and expansion came up over and over in this spread. So that is really our focus right now, and I feel like a lot of us are doing kind of that final push before Mercury goes retrograde at the end of the month and gives us a little roller coaster ride to usher in the next period of winter. The next portal will be opening October 19th, and that's going to be a pretty big Stargate energy, a lot of solar activity, a lot of spiritual activity, a lot of ascension. So I'm not going to keep you too long in here. I just wanted to give you that reading for the week and let you know that things are going just fine, and you're doing great. You're doing amazing. If you have any questions, you can reach me at all the places listed below. And if you would like a reading with me, you know where to find me. If you want to come on my podcast and talk about something, there's a place in my link tree where you can book an interview. If you are willing to come on my podcast and be a guest, I will read for you for free on air. So those are some ways to get a hold of me. And then, like I said, the Patreon is the best deal. And in there, I go much more into detail of space weather, galactic structure, galactic origins, and crystalline grid work. How you can, with cooperation from a lot of others in the astral, be having an effect on the world in a larger way. You don't have to unconditionally love anybody around you. Just love the earth. And by putting out that frequency, we help shield the ionosphere and keep the magnetosphere from going too crazy, and help minimize the effects of all of these extreme weather events and earthquakes and all the stuff that's been happening. We have the power to, working together with generosity and love, to get through this time of great change. So come join us in the Patreon and find out how to do that. Much love.